Chapter 1587. At the same time, the other saints of the evil spirit sect also joined forces to attack one of them. Bam! That person had just blocked the spirit-devouring king's attack and was then faced with the joint attacks of the other saints. He couldn't resist at all. With a scream, his body was torn apart and he died on the spot. The spirit-devouring king's claw turned into a cloud of black smoke and absorbed all the blood. Oh no! The other saints' expressions changed drastically. The spirit-devouring king's strength was already shocking enough. Now that it had absorbed the blood of another saint, its strength would definitely be even more terrifying. Let's go. The dozen or so saints actually didn't dare to continue fighting and turned to run. They were originally from different sects and weren't united. At this critical moment, they all wanted to escape and let the others block them. Hee, you want to escape? All of you will die. The spirit-devouring king sneered and chased after the other saints with a few evil spirit sect saints. The saints have been defeated. Run. There were still some people watching below. They originally thought that the dozen or so saints would be able to suppress the other party if they joined forces. They didn't expect to see this scene and were immediately scared out of their wits. At this time, Lu Ming, Tian Shui, and Xuanixin were almost out of the heavenly wind plains. They didn't stop. The spirit-devouring king was at the arch. Although there were more than a dozen saints, Lu Ming still felt that a dozen saints might not be of much use. Oh no! Those saints have been defeated. Tian Shui roared. Between heaven and earth, a mighty saint aura spread out. The dozen or so saints scattered and fled in all directions. Let's go. The spirit-devouring king's current target is the saints. Our cultivation levels are too weak. He won't target us now. Lu Ming said. The three of them continued to fly at top speed. In the blink of an eye, they had flown out of the heavenly wind plains. Swoosh. At this moment, in the distant sky, a terrifying sharp light pierced into the heavenly wind plains. It was a spear, the spear of divine punishment. Another expert from the heavenly god sect had come. This spear of divine punishment was incomparably terrifying. It streaked across the void as if it had pierced through the void. Saint, spirit-devouring Dharma King said coldly. He struck out with his palm and collided with the spear of divine punishment. An earth-shattering boom rang out as spirit-devouring King's body was pushed back dozens of miles. In the distant void, a figure stepped on the air and approached. This was a middle-aged man with a tall and slender figure. One could tell that he was very handsome when he was young. His expression was very calm, but unknowingly, he exuded a supreme majesty. Sect Master. It's the Sect Master. Some of the heavenly god sect's disciples cried out when they saw this middle-aged man. Lu Ming and the other two were also shocked. The Sect Master of the heavenly divinity sect actually came personally. I didn't expect an evil spirit sect king to be sealed here. However, it looks like he should be very weak. A cold voice rang out. The one who spoke wasn't the sect master of the heavenly god sect, but from the other side. On the other side, a green-robed old man suddenly appeared. He was the one who had spoken earlier. Sect Master. The disciples of the Desire Poison sect cried out in alarm. The sect master of the Desire Poison sect had also arrived. Kakik, two absolute saints actually came. As long as I kill you, I should be able to recover 20% of my cultivation. Spirit-devouring King laughed loudly. Spirit-devouring King, you still want to kill us in your current state? What a joke. Retreat now. Leave that song state, and I won't pursue today's matter. The sect master of the heavenly god sect said calmly. A mere absolute saint. How arrogant. What if I don't retreat? Spirit-devouring King said coldly. If you don't retreat, I can only make you stay here and completely destroy you. The sect master of the heavenly god sect said. He then looked at the sect master of the Desire Poison sect and said, Brother Wu, why don't we join forces? That's what I was thinking. The sect master of the Desire Poison sect said, Ha ha ha, then let me see what you juniors are capable of. Kill. Spirit-devouring King charged toward the sect master of the heavenly god sect. Boom, boom. At the same time, the The sect masters of the Heavenly God sect and the Desire Poison sect unleashed their terrifying auras and charged towards Spirit-Devouring King. Instantly, the entire area was covered in white saint light, green poisonous gas, and black smoke. Terrifying rumbles could be heard continuously. Spirit-Devouring King is blocked. Let's go. Lu Ming didn't hesitate and took out the Breaking Sky shuttle. The three of them stepped into the shuttle and flew away. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from the area. The Breaking Sky shuttle was extremely fast, but it still took a few minutes for the tremors in the heavenly wind planes to disappear completely. Damn, a great emperor has appeared. That was close, Tian Chue said with lingering fear. An emperor-level figure was too terrifying. After so many years, the Tsang state only had one Emperor Tong. After that, there was no other emperor. I wonder if the sect masters of the Heavenly God sect and the Desire Poison sect can stop Spirit-Devouring King. Xuanning thought. The evil spirit sect was destroyed 80,000 years ago. The Spirit-Devouring Dharma King was most likely sealed by another the Arch 80,000 years ago. After so many years, he has become extremely weak. However, he is still of the Arch. It's hard to say if there are two absolute saints, Lu Ming said. However, all of this had nothing to do with them. With their strength, it was useless for them to worry. They couldn't interfere at all. Ordinary saints would find it difficult to interfere with such an expert. They would be killed if they tried. I wonder how little Qing is doing. I haven't seen him before. Lu Ming was a little worried. He took out a voice transmission jade talisman and was about to send a voice transmission to Xian Yanqing. However, just as Lu Ming took out the voice transmission jade talisman, he received a voice transmission from Xian Yanqing, asking him how he was. He was full of worry. Since Xian Yanqing had sent him a voice transmission, it meant that Xian Yanqing was fine. Lu Ming heaved a sigh of relief. Then, Lu Ming replied to Xian Yanqing. Through the voice transmission jade talisman, Lu Ming knew that Xian Yanqing was now outside the heavenly wind plains. A saint from the Heavenly Universe Demon sect had come, and she was with this saint. Lu Ming adjusted the direction and flew towards Xian Yanqing. Soon, he saw Xian Yanqing. The two chatted for a while and finally said goodbye. Lu Ming, Tian Chue, and the other two stepped on the flying shuttle again and went to Dragon God Valley. The Heavenly Wind Plains was in the west of Tsang State, and Dragon God Valley was in the southeast of Tsang State. It was very far away. Even with the flying shuttle, it would take a long time. 7 days later, they landed in a big city and asked for news. As expected, the news about the Heavenly Wind Plains had already spread throughout Tsang State. Lu Ming and the other two asked around and heard a lot of news. In the Heavenly Wind Plains, the evil spirit sect's Spirit-Devouring King had returned to the world and killed several saints. In the end, he fought with the two sect masters of the Heavenly God sect and the Poison sect. That battle was earth-shattering. In the end, Spirit-Devouring Dharma King was too weak and wasn't a match for the two saints. He was severely injured and escaped with a few saints. As for the remaining evil spirit sect members, they were all killed by the other saints present. Even so, all the major sects in Tsang State were in a state of panic. There were rumors that the evil spirit sect was going to rise from the ashes again. The world was going to be plunged into misery and suffering again. Now, a Dharma King had broken out of the seal. Once he recovered in the future, how could Tsang State stop him without an arch? Many people could only hope that there would be Thearch-level figures in the territories outside Tsang State to deal with the evil spirit sect. After Lu Ming and the other two asked around, they continued to step on the flying shuttle and headed for Dragon God Valley. When they returned to the southeast of Tsang State, Lu Ming adjusted the flying shuttle and headed for the Lu family castle. Chapter 1588. Soon, the Lu family fortress came into view. The three of them got off the flying shuttle. After Lu Ming kept the flying shuttle, the three of them flew towards the Lu family fortress. It's young Master Lu. The people of the Lu family fortress recognized Lu Ming immediately and welcomed the three of them into the fortress. Junior Lu Ming actually took in a disciple here. I'd like to meet her. Tian Chue was very curious. Xuanning Xin was the same. They were still young, which was the golden age for cultivation. Usually, They would not take in disciples because it would distract them. They would only consider taking in disciples when they reached a certain age and passed the golden age of cultivation. Lu Ming was so young, and he had taken in a disciple. His disciple would definitely be extraordinary. Lu Ming's eyes were also filled with anticipation. Xiang Xiang's talent was definitely shocking. They had not seen each other for a year. How high was Xiang Xiang's cultivation? Young Master Lu. Lu Zhenghao greeted them from afar. Patriarch Lu. These two are my senior brothers and senior sisters. Lu Ming introduced Tian Chue and Xuaningxin to Lu Zhenghao. Lu Zhenghao quickly bowed to Tian Chue and Xuaningxin. After that, they went to the main hall of the Lu family fortress. Once they were seated, the maid served them tea. Patriarch Lu, where's Xiang Xiang? Lu Ming asked. Xiang Xiang is cultivating in seclusion. I've already asked Wanjun to call her. Lu Zhenghao said. Lu Ming nodded and said, Patriarch Lu, Lu Ming has a favor to ask of you. Please speak, young master. As long as the Lu family fortress can do it, I will do it. Lu Zhenghao said. Patriarch Lu, you're exaggerating. It's not a big deal. I have some friends who would like to settle down in the Lu family fortress. Is that okay? Lu Ming said. Of course. How many are there? Lu Zhenghao asked. A few hundred people. Let's go out and take a look. After saying that, Lu Ming walked out of the hall. He arrived at the courtyard outside the hall and waved his hand. Feng Ling and the villagers of the Feng family village all appeared in the courtyard. As soon as Feng Ling and the others appeared, they looked around. Feng Ling, village chief, it's me. Lu Ming said with a smile. You are Brother Lu? Feng Ling widened her eyes and looked at Lu Ming in surprise. Back then, Lu Ming had disguised himself. Now that he had regained his original appearance, Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others naturally couldn't recognize Lu Ming. It's me. Lu Ming smiled and said, Village chief, we are already in the southeast of Tsang province. How about you all stay here in the future? Brother Lu, I'll do as you say. The village chief said, Young Master Lu, don't worry. I'll ask someone to arrange a place for them to stay. I'll find a good place to settle them down. Lu Zhenghao said. Then, he called an elder of the Lu family to bring Feng Ling, the village chief, and the others to settle down. In this way, one of Lu Ming's worries was removed. Master! A clear and crisp voice could be heard. A figure flashed, and a little girl of about 7 or 8 years old appeared in front of Lu Ming. She was Lu Xiangxiang. Xiang Xiang was followed by Lu Wanjun. Xiang Xiang, why aren't you greeting your master? You don't know the rules. Lu Wanjun reprimanded. Disciple greets master. Xiang Xiang obediently bowed to Lu Ming. Hee, there's no need for that. Come, let me introduce you. This is my senior brother. You should call him 7th martial uncle. This is my senior sister. You should call her 8th martial aunt. Lu Ming pointed at Tian Chue and Xuaningxin as he introduced them. Xiang Xiang greets 7th martial uncle and 8th martial aunt. Xiang Xiang bowed to Tian Chue and Xuaningxin obediently. Haha, good girl. This is a gift from 8th martial aunt. Xuaningxin took out a green orb and gave it to Xiang Xiang. It was a martial emperor weapon as a gift. Here, 7th martial uncle has a gift for you too. Tian Chue grinned and took out an emperor spirit weapon and gave it to Xiang Xiang. Xiang Xiang, your cultivation has reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm? At that instant, Lu Ming's eyes flickered with astonishment. I've just reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm a few days ago. Xiang Xiang nodded. Lu Ming's eyelids twitched as his heart skipped a beat. 1 year. In just 1 year, Xiang Xiang's cultivation had reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm. That speed was too shocking. Furthermore, she had not received any resources from the top sects at the Lu clan fort. Lu Ming was dumbfounded by her speed. It's not bad to reach the 9th layer martial emperor realm at your age. Xiang Xiang, how long have you been cultivating? Tian Chue asked. Xiang Xiang has been cultivating for a year. A year ago, Master taught me how to cultivate. Xiang Xiang said. A year, that's not bad. Wait, what? A year? Tian Chue nodded and immediately reacted. He opened his mouth wider and wider as he stared at Xiang Xiang in disbelief. Xuanxin stared with her mouth agape. A year ago, before she had even started cultivating, she had reached the 9th layer martial emperor realm in just a year. Tian Chue and Xuanxin were dumbfounded by her speed. Even though they were in the Yuanlu, where many geniuses were able to cultivate at a shocking speed, they had never heard of anyone reaching the 9th layer martial emperor realm in just a year. Beside them, Lu Wanjun and Lu Jinghao wore excited and relieved smiles. As a matter of fact, they had been shocked by Xiang Xiang's speed of cultivation at the beginning, but they were now filled with excitement. Xiang Xiang blinked her eyes and glanced curiously at the dumbfounded Tian Chue and Xuanxin. She could not understand why her martial uncle and martial aunt were acting like this. After a while, Tian Chue and Xuanxin finally collected their thoughts. Junior brother, I'm so jealous of you, to be able to recruit such a great disciple. If I had a disciple like her, even if I don't cultivate, I would teach her well. Tian Chue's gaze toward Lu Ming was filled with jealousy. As her martial uncle, you should teach her more in the future, Lu Ming said with a smile. The group chatted as night fell. Lu Jinghao prepared a feast for them. That night, Lu Ming and the others stayed at the Lu clan fort. The next morning, Lu Ming bade farewell to Lu Jinghao and Lu Wanjun. Mother, Grandpa, take care. Xiang Xiang reluctantly bid farewell to Lu Jinghao and Lu Wanjun. Xiang Xiang, you must listen to your master and cultivate well in the Dragon God Valley. Do you understand? Lu Wanjun's eyes were filled with reluctance as tears began to roll down her cheeks. Mother, don't cry. Xiang Xiang will find time to visit you. Xiang Xiang said obediently. Following this, Xiang Xiang bade farewell to Lu Jinghao. Patriarch Lu, young mistress, see you later. Lu Ming cupped his fists and left with Xiang Xiang, disappearing from the sight of Lu Jinghao and the others. After flying for a while, Lu Ming took out the piercing sky shuttle. The four of them boarded the shuttle and headed toward the Dragon God Valley. Chapter 1589. The Lu family fort was very close to the Dragon God Valley. They arrived shortly after taking the flying shuttle. As they approached the Dragon God Valley, the group got off the flying shuttle and stepped into the Dragon God Valley, heading towards the Cloud Dragon Valley. Xiang Xiang, are you cold? Lu Ming turned to look at Xiang Xiang. The little girl's face was red from the cold. I'm not cold. Xiang Xiang shook her head. A layer of green light emanated from her body to block the cold air outside. Below them, the snowy mountain passed by. Soon, they arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley. Ming-er, come to my cave abode. Lu Ming and the rest had just stepped into the Cloud Dragon Valley when the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. With the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation, his spiritual consciousness could cover the entire Cloud Dragon Valley. It was not difficult for him to know that they had returned. Senior brother, senior sister, Master is looking for me. I'll go to Master's cave abode first. Lu Ming said. All right, junior brother, go ahead. Let's go back to the cave abode first. Xuanxin said. Lu Ming nodded and led Xiang Xiang deeper into the Cloud Dragon Valley. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave abode. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was sitting on a futon in the cave abode. Disciple Lu Ming greets Master. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Grand Disciple Xiang Xiang greets Grand Master. Xiang Xiang was very obedient. When she saw Lu Ming bowing, she hurriedly bowed as well. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master was slightly taken aback. He looked at Xiang Xiang and asked, Ming-er, is this your disciple? Yes, this is the disciple I took in a year ago. I'll need Master's guidance in the future, Lu Ming said. The Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley sized up Xiang Xiang carefully. Then, his eyes flickered and he revealed a look of surprise. Following which, the Valley Master of the Cloud Dragon Valley seemed to have a glint in his eyes as he carefully stared at Xiang Xiang. The more he looked at her, the stronger the glint in his eyes became. Finally, a look of shock flashed across his face. Ming-er, this disciple of yours is incredible, the Cloud Dragon Valley Master exclaimed. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He knew that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had noticed that Xiang Xiang was extraordinary. "Little girl, come here and let your Grandmaster take a good look," the Cloud Dragon Valley Master said gently. "Yes, Grandmaster." Xiang Xiang obediently walked over to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's side. "Ha ha ha, what a sensible little girl." Little girl, your master might not have that much time to guide you. In the future, Grandmaster will guide you in your cultivation." Yun Longu stroked Xiang Xiang's head and laughed. "Thank you, Master." Lu Ming was overjoyed. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cultivation level was much higher than his. It was unfathomable. If he were to guide Xiang Xiang, she would be much stronger than if he were to guide her. After being outside for a year, how is the removal of the killing intent in the depths of your soul? The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's tone changed. "It has been completely removed." Lu Ming nodded. "That's good. Ming, let me tell you a piece of bad news. A few days ago, I received news that the divine son of the Sky Divinity Sect has broken through to the sacred realm." The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said with a solemn expression. "The divine son has broken through to the sacred realm?" Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. "Ming, there is still 1.5 years until the next treasure sorting meeting. In this 1.5 years, even if you cultivate with all your might, it will be difficult for you to catch up to the divine son. Therefore, I will send you to a place where you might have a chance to fight." The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. "Master, where is it?" Lu Ming asked curiously. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master had said a year ago that he would send him to a place and asked him to return after a year. Lu Ming had always been very curious. That place is called the 100-Tribe Battlefield. It is an extremely dangerous place, but also a place filled with endless opportunities. Only by going there will you have a chance to fight with the Divine Sun in the next treasure sorting meeting. As for the specific situation, I will tell you when we arrive at the place of departure. All right, bring Xiang Xiang out and arrange a place for Xiang Xiang to stay. Bring her to familiarize herself with the Cloud Dragon Valley. We will depart in 3 days." The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Lu Ming nodded and bade farewell to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. He then left the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave dwelling with Xiang Xiang. After that, Lu Ming picked a cave dwelling near his cave dwelling for Xiang Xiang to stay in. The Cloud Dragon Valley was extremely huge, and there were many cave dwellings. However, there were only slightly more than 100 people, so most of the cave dwellings were empty. "Xiang Xiang, you can ask me if you have any questions about your cultivation during this period of time," Lu Ming said to Xiang Xiang. "Yes, Master. I do have some questions." Xiang Xiang nodded and began to ask all the questions she had during this period of time. Lu Ming patiently answered Xiang Xiang one by one. Half a day later, Xiang Xiang returned to the cave dwelling to cultivate in satisfaction. Lu Ming appeared in the mountain river diagram. Ming Lian's second body sat on a mountain peak in the mountain river diagram. A stone plate floated above his head and emitted a vast and terrifying aura. This stone plate was the Taiji stone plate that he had obtained from the Tianfeng Plains. During this period of time, Ming Lian's second body had been studying it. In the end, he concluded that it should be a formation plate, an extremely terrifying formation plate. With the help of this formation plate, Ming Lian's second body had consecutively lit 2 spirit lamps in a short period of time. Now, Ming Lian's second body had already lit 8 spirit lamps. Over the past year, his second body had been cultivating and had made great progress. With his second body's current cultivation, he could communicate with the precepts through inscriptions and try to use the power of the precepts to become a sage to be. However, Lu Ming would not do so now. 8 spirit lamps were too few. He needed to light 10 spirit lamps before he could consider becoming a sage to be. Lu Ming called this formation plate the Taiji formation plate. Buzz. With a thought, golden spirit fire spread out from between Ming Lian's second body's eyebrows and poured into the Taiji formation plate. Suddenly, the Taiji formation plate shone, and a Taiji yin-yang diagram appeared, emitting a terrifying pressure. The Taiji yin-yang diagram seemed to contain terrifying killing and sealing power. It was highly likely that it was an imperial weapon, which was on the same level as the Phoenix Ancient Mirror. With Ming Lian's second body's cultivation, It was difficult for him to unleash 1/10,000th of the Taiji formation plate's power. Even so, Lu Ming felt that Ming Lian's second body could easily kill a 9th-level martial royal or even an ordinary sage-to-be by controlling the Taiji formation plate. Lu Ming's face revealed a satisfied smile. He had gained a lot in the Tianfeng Plains this time. Just this Taiji formation plate alone was a priceless treasure. It had greatly increased Lu Ming's combat strength. Ming Lian's second body could become Lu Ming's strongest trump card. After looking at it for a while, Lu Ming's main body left the mountain river diagram and closed his eyes to cultivate. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming told Xiang to stay in the Cloud Dragon Valley and went to the Cloud Dragon Valley Master's cave again. Ming-er, I'll take you to Cloud Emperor Mountain first. If you want to go to the 100-tribe battlefield, you must go through Cloud Emperor Mountain. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained. Cloud Emperor Mountain? Lu Ming was confused as he had never heard of such a place in the Tsang continent. Cloud Emperor Mountain is not located in the Tsang continent, but in another continent close to the Tsang continent called Cloud Continent. Cloud Emperor Mountain is the strongest force in Cloud Continent and has a martial monarch expert. Chapter 1590. An Emperor-class force. Lu Ming's heart trembled. An Emperor-class force had a great emperor overseeing it. It was more powerful than any sect in Tsang State, and even more powerful than all the sects in Tsang State combined. Having a great emperor overseeing it and not overseeing it were two completely different things. However, the books that Lu Ming had read previously only introduced Tsang State. There was very little information outside of Tsang State. Yuan Continent is vast and boundless. Every Emperor-class expert can occupy a territory and establish a force. That territory is a state, and it is called by the name of the Great Emperor. The Great Emperor of Cloud Emperor Mountain is called Cloud Emperor. Therefore, the territory that Cloud Emperor is in is called Cloud State. Tsang State originated from Emperor Tsang. If a new Great Emperor appears in Tsang State in the future, the name might change. Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained, a great emperor can establish a state. Lu Ming couldn't help but yearn for it. Tsang State was so vast, but it was only the territory that Emperor Tsang occupied. Master, how many states are there in Yuan Continent? Lu Ming asked curiously. Cloud Dragon Valley Master shook his head and said, Yuan Continent is too vast and there are countless states. I don't know either. Countless states? Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Each state represented a great emperor. Could there be that many great emperors in Yuan Continent? Ming-er, I have a map here. It shows some of the territories near Tsang State. Take a good look on the way. A jade talisman appeared in Cloud Dragon Valley Master's hand, and he passed it to Lu Ming. Then, he waved his hand and brought Lu Ming to the sky outside Divine Dragon Valley. Then, he waved his hand and a flying shuttle appeared in the sky. The flying shuttle was purple gold in color. It had a smooth curve, and there were mysterious patterns carved on it. It looked very beautiful. At first glance, one could tell that it was much more advanced than the flying shuttle that Lu Ming had. Ming-er, come on up. Cloud Dragon Valley Master stepped into the flying shuttle and Lu Ming followed behind. Swoosh! Cloud Dragon Valley Master controlled the flying shuttle and it turned into a ray of light and disappeared. So fast, Lu Ming looked out through the crystal glass. The mountains and rivers below passed by in the blink of an eye at an incredible speed. It was at least dozens of times faster than his sky-piercing shuttle. This was definitely a top-notch flying shuttle. Lu Ming observed for a while before sitting down with his legs crossed. He then took out the jade talisman that Valley Master Yunlong had given him. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, a map was projected into Lu Ming's mind. This map was divided into different regions, and each region was a large state. There were a total of dozens of large states, and they were all states near the Tsang State. The Tsang Prefecture was in the southeast of the map, close to the boundless ocean. The Cloud Prefecture, where the Cloud Emperor Mountain was located, was in the northwest of the Tsang Prefecture, close to the Tsang Prefecture. That's Emperor District's D family. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. In the north of the Azure Prefecture, there was another prefecture called the Emperor Prefecture. It was stated that the Emperor Prefecture was under the control of the D clan. Could it be D? Xian's family, the D family, actually has a great emperor. Lu Ming frowned slightly. I once injured Xian in the Divine Wilderness continent. I'm afraid he won't let it go so easily. I have to find a chance to get rid of him in the future to prevent future troubles. Lu Ming thought to himself. Then, Lu Ming imprinted the map in his mind and quietly cultivated. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master's sky-piercing shuttle was too fast. In just 2 days, they had crossed the entire Tsang state, entered the Cloud state, and arrived at a vast mountain. Here, the two got off the sky-piercing shuttle. What a majestic mountain! Looking at the mountain in front of him, Lu Ming couldn't help but exclaim. The Tsang Mountains were already majestic, but there was still a big gap between them and the mountain in front of him. So this is the Cloud Emperor Mountain? Looking at the mountain from afar, Lu Ming could feel an imperious aura being emitted from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. It was as if the aura was standing at the peak of the world, causing everyone to bow down and worship it. This was the imperiousness of a martial monarch. There was a martial monarch hibernating in the mountain. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out a sound-conducting jade talisman and transmitted a message. Not long after, an old man in a white robe arrived from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Brother Yun, why are you so free today to visit my Cloud Emperor Mountain? The old man in the white robe said with a smile. It's nothing much. I'm just here to send my disciple to the 100-tribe battlefield and visit your old friend. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said. Haha, you're not here to visit me. You're here to send your disciple to the 100-tribe battlefield. The old man in the white robe burst out laughing as he glanced at Lu Ming and said, Brother Yun, your disciple's cultivation is only at the peak 6th layer martial dominator realm. Isn't it a bit too low for him to enter the 100-tribe battlefield? The 100-tribe battlefield is filled with danger. It's fine. The danger is the best way to train him. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said, All right, come with me. The Cloud Emperor Mountain is going to arrange for a group of young geniuses to enter the 100-tribe battlefield to train themselves. You can go together and take care of each other. The old man in the white robe said. He then led Lu Ming and the Cloud Dragon Valley Master into the Cloud Emperor Mountain and arranged a residence for them to stay in. Brother Yun, stay here for 2 days. I'll bring this young man to the 100-tribe battlefield in 2 days' time. After saying this, the old man in the white robe left. Ming-er, you must be curious about what kind of place the 100-tribe battlefield is, right? At that instant, the Cloud Space Valley Master glanced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded his head. He was indeed curious about it. Legend has it that in ancient times, the 100-tribe war took place in that area. That war caused the heavens to collapse and the earth to crack. It was incomparably tragic. Legend has it that many Emperor-level experts died. That was the 100-tribe battlefield. Because too many experts died in the 100-tribe battlefield, especially Emperor-level experts, the laws of heaven and earth in that area were messed up. Since the Saint Realm experts had comprehended the laws of heaven and earth, they could not enter at all. Once they entered, they would be affected by the chaotic laws of heaven and earth, causing their own laws to be disrupted. Once a Saint Realm expert entered, his laws would be disrupted and he would die of madness. In the lightest case, his cultivation would be crippled. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master explained, It's that terrifying? Lu Ming was shocked. That's right. Therefore, experts above the Saint Realm do not dare to enter the 100-tribe battlefield. Only those below the Saint Realm can enter. As for the half-sages, some have comprehended the laws of heaven and earth, but they are not strong enough, so they can also enter. Moreover, there are too many experts who participated in the 100-tribe battlefield, and too many experts have died. That territory is filled with countless treasures, and it is simply a huge treasure trove. Many Emperor-level forces will send experts in, and over time, it has evolved into a training ground for prodigies. Today, it has become the top choice for the various Emperor-level forces prodigies to train. Many exceptional prodigies from Emperor-level forces enter to train themselves in life and death situations, seeking breakthroughs. Therefore, it is a place where opportunities and dangers coexist. Because many prodigies enter to train themselves, there is no need for a reason to make a move there. As long as someone feels that you are worthy of training, they will make a move on you. Chapter 1591. Why wouldn't I dare? That's exactly what I want. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation and a strong desire to battle. The 100-race battlefield was actually a training ground for the various emperor-level factions. How many geniuses would gather there? Lu Ming felt the blood in his body start to boil. Only then would it be interesting to clash with other geniuses and force Lu Ming to advance quickly. Ming-er, I was right about you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master smiled, but in the next moment, his smile disappeared and his face turned serious. Cultivators, especially geniuses, are often able to unlock their potential and break through their shackles in the face of death. Therefore, anyone who dares to enter the 100-race battlefield is a genius among geniuses. Furthermore, they are mentally tough and have terrifying battle abilities. Because ordinary people don't dare to enter the 100-race battlefield, life and death battles are too common. Therefore, Ming-er, you must be careful and not let your guard down. I understand. Lu Ming nodded. I have an introduction to the 100-race battlefield here. Take a look, it will be of some help to you. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master took out a jade talisman and handed it to Lu Ming. Then, the two returned to their rooms. Lu Ming took out the jade talisman and read it. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. 2 days later, the white-robed elder came to the courtyard. Little guy, come with me. The white-robed elder smiled. Master, I'll take my leave. Lu Ming cupped his fists at the Cloud Dragon Valley Master. Go, I believe in you. You will definitely be able to defeat a strong opponent in the next treasure sorting meeting. At that time, you will be able to look down on the younger generation of the Tsang state. The Cloud Dragon Valley Master said, Haha, Brother Yun, you have a lot of confidence in your disciple. The white-robed elder smiled and waved his hand. A gush of energy shrouded Lu Ming, and he soared into the sky with Lu Ming. After a while, the white-robed elder brought Lu Ming to a canyon. In the canyon, there was a huge altar with inscriptions carved all around. Teleportation altar. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this was a teleportation altar. This was his first time seeing a teleportation altar in the Yuan continent. The Yuanlu space was too stable. If one wanted to set up a teleportation altar to teleport across regions, the price would be very high. The amount of resources required would also be shocking. In the Divine Dragon Valley, there were only teleportation altars that led to the sea. There weren't any teleportation altars that led to the other regions of the Yuan continent. Perhaps only imperial forces had them. Beside the altar, there were 4 young men, 1 woman and 3 men. The woman was tall and slender. She wore silver armor, but it still couldn't hide her fiery figure. She looked valiant and cool. The other 3 young men were wearing white robes with clouds embroidered on them. When the white-robed old man arrived with Lu Ming, the 4 young men looked at Lu Ming curiously. Let me introduce him to you. His name is Lu Ming. He will be going to the 100-tribe battlefield with you. The white-robed old man gave a simple introduction. Lu Ming? That's an unfamiliar name. Why haven't I heard of it before? One of the young men was puzzled. He had dark green hair and looked very conspicuous. He's not from Cloud Emperor Mountain. He's from Tsangzhou. The white-robed old man introduced. Tsangzhou? When the green-haired young man heard that Lu Ming was from Tsangzhou, his eyes were filled with disdain. He looked at Lu Ming and said, You're only a rank 6 martial royal. How dare you enter the 100-tribe battlefield? You're courting death. Lu Ming frowned and said, I'll be careful in the 100-tribe battlefield. Careful? Are you trying to rely on us? Let me tell you, if you encounter danger in the 100-tribe battlefield, we won't save you. The green-haired young man sneered and his eyes were filled with disdain. I'll be responsible for my own life. If I encounter danger and get killed, it's because I'm not skilled enough. Lu Ming's voice turned cold. The tone of the green-haired young man had displeased him. Seeing that Lu Ming dared to speak to him with a cold expression, the green-haired young man harumphed as his eyes flickered and said, Trash from Tsangzhou. Let's see how you'll die. Yunkai, that's enough. That's enough. At this moment, the lady in silver armor scolded. The green-haired young man seemed to be afraid of the lady in silver armor. He chuckled coldly and did not say anything else. Lu Ming, I'm Yunxi. The lady in silver armor introduced herself. Nice to meet you. Lu Ming nodded. Lu Ming, don't mind Yunkai's words. Since you're going to the 100-tribe battlefield with us, we'll take care of each other when the time comes, Yunxi said. In other words, if they were to encounter danger, they would take care of Lu Ming as long as it was within their capabilities. These geniuses from monarch factions had a sense of superiority when facing those who were not from monarch factions. Although Yunxi was amiable, she still had a faint sense of superiority. Lu Ming smiled slightly and did not comment, nor did he explain. Lu Ming, these two are called Yunfeng and Yunk. Then, Yunxi introduced the other two young men to Lu Ming. The other two young men nodded slightly at Lu Ming. All right, now that you all know each other, let's go, the white-robed old man said. Everyone nodded and stepped onto the teleportation altar one after another. The white-robed old man waved his hand, and the altar began to glow. A spatial door was formed, and Lu Ming and the other four stepped in one after another. Heaven and earth spun, and Lu Ming felt his vision darken. What a strong spatial rotational force! A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. The more stable the space was, the stronger the rotational force during spatial teleportation. The next moment, the rotational force disappeared, and Lu Ming found himself on a huge platform. The platform should be on a mountain peak. Looking into the distance, what came into view was a boundless hilly area. The 100-tribe battlefield is up ahead. We are now outside the 100-tribe battlefield, Yunxi said. Lu Ming nodded. He had read the introduction of the 100-tribe battlefield that the Cloud Dragon Valley Master had given him. Any monarch faction that wanted to enter the 100-tribe battlefield could only teleport outside the 100-tribe battlefield. Teleportation arrays could not be built inside the 100-tribe battlefield, as the laws were too chaotic. Let's go, Yunxi said and led the way. This team was led by Yunxi. Her cultivation was the highest at 9th-level Martial Emperor, while the other three were 8th-level Martial Emperors. Moreover, those who dared to enter the 100-tribe battlefield to train were all very strong. Lu Ming estimated that Yunxi and the other three were all superior earthly spiritual bodies. The 5 of them flew forward, and soon, a deep ditch appeared in front of them. This ditch was created by later generations. It's a sign that we have officially entered the 100-tribe battlefield, Yunxi said. The 5 of them flew over the ditch. Chapter 1592. This chaos could not be seen with the naked eye. Even those with low cultivation could not feel it. Only those who had reached a certain level could feel it. However, they were not Saint Realm cultivators, so the chaotic laws did not affect them much. The 100-clan battlefield had taken place in ancient times. It was extremely far away from the present. The earth had regained its vitality and was the same as the outside world, except for the chaotic laws. Here, the 5 of them retracted their auras and became careful. The closer we are to the center of the 100-clan battlefield, the more powerful cultivators there are. We should be fine if we are careful in the periphery, Yunxi whispered. They nodded. The 100-clan battlefield. The closer to the center of the 100-clan battlefield, the stronger the cultivators who had participated in the war. Naturally, there were many treasures left behind. Therefore, the more powerful the prodigies, the more they would gather in the center to find opportunities and opponents to train themselves. Some of the weaker prodigies were active in the periphery. The 5 of them ran forward and did not encounter any danger. They occasionally encountered some demonic beasts, but most of them were not very powerful. The 100-clan battlefield was extremely huge. Soon, they had traveled tens of thousands of miles. Whoosh! At this moment, a soft sound rang out. Yun Feng screamed as one of his arms flew out and blood splattered everywhere. Oh no! Someone is attacking us! Yun Shi and the others were shocked. Whoosh! The soft sound of something breaking through the air rang out again. Retreat! Yun Shi yelled and retreated quickly. The others also retreated quickly. Poof! They retreated quickly enough, but Yun Ke was still hit. A deep sword wound appeared on his chest, and blood flowed out. His spiritual body wriggled crazily, trying to recover, but it seemed to be blocked by a terrifying killing intent that constantly destroyed his spiritual body, making it difficult for him to recover in a short period of time. Yun Feng was the same. One of his arms had been cut off and wanted to regrow, but there was a terrifying murderous intent that prevented his spiritual body from regrowing. The 1,000-kill sword technique. It's someone from the 1,000-kill house. Yun Kai roared, his face full of fear. Whoosh! At this moment, another soft sound rang out. There seemed to be a sword light stabbing toward Yun Kai. They could only feel a faint fluctuation, but they could not see the figure of the attacker. Even the sword light could not be seen. It was extremely terrifying. A silver spear appeared in Yun Shi's hand, and she swept it out. Clang! Yun Shi's spear seemed to have collided with a battle sword. With a loud boom, she blocked the sword. Yun Kai was so scared that he felt a chill run down his spine. A battle sword appeared in his hand, and it emitted a terrifying aura. Clearly, it was a saint weapon. At the same time, Yun Kai and Yun Feng both took out their saint weapons. The prodigies of Emperor-level forces naturally did not lack sacred weapons. It's the 1,000-Slayer Manor's concealment technique and shadowless sword. Let's surround him and prevent him from launching a sneak attack. Yun Shi shouted. The 5 of them immediately formed a circle and looked around nervously. Damn it! How unlucky! The moment he entered the 100-clan battlefield, he encountered the assassins of the 1,000-Slayer Manor. Yun Kai shouted angrily. At this moment, he had finally erased the terrifying murderous aura. The wound on his chest had begun to heal. As for Yun Feng, his arm began to grow. Lu Ming, guard your side well. If you can't, then get out of here quickly so that you don't implicate us. Yun Kai said coldly. Whoosh! At this moment, a soft sound rang out again. This time, it was aimed at Yun Shi. Yun Shi's pupils contracted rapidly. She swept out her spear, but when she swept it out, she realized that she had missed. Then, with a whoosh, the sword light pierced toward Yun Kai. Get out of here! Yun Kai roared and slashed out with his battle sword. Its power was extremely terrifying. Yun Kai's cultivation was at the peak of the 8th layer martial emperor realm. It was obvious that he had a superior earth spiritual body. With a saint weapon, he could easily kill someone at the peak of the 9th layer martial emperor realm. However, this sword strike still missed. The sword chi landed on the ground and left a long sword mark that was dozens of meters deep. It directly split a hill in half. Whoosh! 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 The sound of the air being torn apart kept ringing out. The terrifying sword light kept stabbing, but it was not aimed at Yun Shi. Sometimes it was aimed at Yun Kai, sometimes it was aimed at Lu Ming. Only the sound of the sword could be heard, but the attacker and the sword were nowhere to be seen. Moreover, the sword light was extremely fast and powerful. It was ruthless and accurate. They were completely at a disadvantage. A while later, another sword wound was added to Yun Feng's body. Such a terrifying assassination technique. Lu Ming frowned slightly too. Their opponent's concealment technique was too powerful. He was able to completely conceal his figure. They could not even sense his aura. They were completely at a disadvantage. They could only endure the attacks without being able to counterattack. His cultivation is most likely at the 8th layer martial emperor realm. Yun Shi said, What should we do? We can't let this go on. We're being too passive. Yun Kai said, Let's go over there. There's a canyon there. Once we enter the canyon, it'll be advantageous for us. Yun Shi yelled. Their opponent's movement was too fast. The place was spacious, allowing him to move freely. Their counterattack could not hit him. If they entered the canyon, their opponent's movements would be greatly restricted. Bang! The spear in Yun Shi's hand expanded rapidly, turning into a 1,000-meter-long spear glow that swept across the place. Unfortunately, it still failed to hit her opponent. Let's go. At that instant, Yun Shi let out a roar and dashed toward the canyon. Lu Ming and the others followed Yun Shi and dashed in that direction. But before she could even get halfway, a terrifying sword light pierced toward Yun Shi's head. Yun Shi's pupil shrank, and she abruptly stopped. Her spear swept up, and with a clang, she blocked her opponent's sword. At the same time, another sword light pierced toward Yun Feng from behind. Yun Feng roared angrily and slashed his sword backward. With a clang, he blocked the sword light as well. However, their expressions became even more unsightly. 2. There are 2 assassins from the Thousand Killers Manor. Yun Kai yelled with a pale face. One assassin was already very troublesome to deal with. Now, 2 had appeared at the same time. Whoosh! At that moment, the black wings on Lu Ming's back spread open. With a flap, Lu Ming soared into the sky and left Yun Shi's group, flying into the distance. Damn it! That bastard is so afraid of death that he wants to escape by himself. Yun Kai roared angrily. Lu Ming's expression was cold, and he did not say a word. His black wings flapped rapidly as he flew forward. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from Yun Shi's and Yun Kai's line of sight. What a coward! If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have brought him along, Yun Kai said. Yun Feng and Yun Kai's expressions were somewhat ugly. There's one less assassin. One of them was lured away by Lu Ming. At this moment, Yun Shi spoke. Chapter 1593. Haha, that guy is too smart for his own good. He's really digging his own grave. Yun Kai burst out laughing in a mocking tone. Meanwhile, Lu Ming suddenly came to a stop after flying for a while. He then turned around and glanced behind him coldly. Buzz. Behind him, a gentle ripple could be felt, as a figure wrapped in a black robe appeared, holding a sword in his hand. The sword was transparent and as thin as a cicada's wing. As an assassin, you dare to show yourself? Lu Ming spoke in a calm tone. Why would I need to conceal myself when dealing with a mere 6th-layer martial dominator like you? The black-robed assassin said in a cold voice. Oh, is that so? Don't regret it. There was a faint smile at the corners of Lu Ming's lips. I'll kill you with a single slash. A cold voice could be heard. Following this, the assassin made his move. With a flicker, his figure traveled a few hundred meters and appeared before Lu Ming in the blink of an eye. The sword as thin as a cicada's wing was thrust in Lu Ming's direction. A sacred weapon. The sword as thin as a cicada's wing was a sacred weapon. A terrifying sword glow pierced toward Lu Ming's throat at an unbelievable speed. Bang! The cry of a dragon could be heard coming from Lu Ming's body. Without realizing it, he had already put on the flowing force gloves. His true force was rapidly inserted into the flowing force gloves, causing them to become as heavy as a mountain. Lu Ming threw out a punch, which caused the air to be compressed together. A terrifying force was hurled toward the assassin. Buzz! The assassin's sword vibrated vigorously as it broke through the force of Lu Ming's fist and stabbed into Lu Ming's fist. Following a clank, a terrifying force was emitted from Lu Ming's fist, which surged toward the assassin like a landslide. The assassin's expression changed tremendously. The sword as thin as a cicada's wing continued to vibrate, while his figure was sent flying by the terrifying force of the punch. Puff! The assassin spat out a mouthful of blood, which wet the black cloth covering his mouth. His eyes, which were the only part exposed, were filled with astonishment. How could you possess such a powerful force? The other party spoke in disbelief. His cultivation was at the mid-8th layer martial dominator realm, which was almost 2 layers higher than Lu Ming's. He also possessed a superior earthly spirit body, but he was injured by Lu Ming with a single punch. You want to kill me with this little bit of power? Lu Ming said indifferently. So what if you were strong? What I specialize in is not strength, but assassination. Today, you will still die. The black-robed assassin said coldly. Then, his body moved and disappeared. It was as if he had disappeared into thin air. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes and scanned the surroundings. Whoosh! Suddenly, a streak of sword light came from behind Lu Ming, stabbing towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming twisted his body and threw a punch behind him. However, this punch struck nothing but air. A burst of fist energy flew out and created a large crater in a distant mountain peak. Whoosh! Immediately, a streak of sword light appeared on Lu Ming's left side and attacked Lu Ming at an incredible speed. Lu Ming threw another punch. Unfortunately, when he threw the punch, the streak of sword light disappeared again, and Lu Ming's punch landed in the air again. Whoosh! Whoosh! Following this, terrifying streaks of sword light appeared continuously. At the same time, 7 or 8 streaks of sword light came from different directions and stabbed towards Lu Ming. Piss off! The black dragon spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he swung it horizontally. The long spear swept in all directions, and all the sword cries disappeared. However, it still did not hit the opponent. At the crucial moment, the opponent dodged Lu Ming's attack with a terrifying movement technique. Let's see how many of my attacks you can dodge. When you lose your mind, it will be the time of your death. An ice-cold voice echoed in the air. However, it didn't come from a single direction. Instead, it was constantly changing. It seemed that with every word, the direction would change. This made Lu Ming unable to pinpoint the opponent's location. The opponent's assassination technique was indeed very terrifying. Those who were targeted by him had to maintain a high level of concentration at all times, because the slightest carelessness would allow the opponent to seize the opportunity and kill them in one strike. If one had to maintain such a high level of concentration for a long time, one's mind would be exhausted. If that happened, only death would await them. Therefore, when Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others knew that it was an assassin from the Thousand Slayer Manor, their expressions became unsightly. The assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor were synonymous with nightmares. Once targeted, there was only a slim chance of survival. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and stood still in the air. He spread out his spiritual sense. Soon after, the corner of Lu Ming's mouth curled into an indescribable smile. Suddenly, Lu Ming moved. The black dragon spear suddenly pierced towards the back. Man and spear became one, like a streak of black lightning. This spear seemed to be piercing towards the air. But in the next instant, a miserable scream rang out. The black-robed assassin revealed himself, and Lu Ming's spear pierced through his dantian. The black-robed assassin's eyes widened in disbelief. He roared, "How is this possible? How did you discover me?" "Sorry, my spiritual strength is many times stronger than cultivators of the same level. You can hide your body and you can restrain your aura, but it's difficult to hide your spiritual strength." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "So that's how it is. Haha, but if you kill me, you'll also die." The black-robed assassin suddenly laughed crazily. As he laughed, he stopped breathing. The spear just now had already shattered the assassin's spiritual divinity. Lu Ming pulled out his spear and reached out with his hand, grabbing the assassin's spatial ring. The black-robed assassin was too confident in his concealment skills. So when Lu Ming attacked, the assassin was completely unprepared and was easily killed by Lu Ming. If the assassin had been prepared, it wouldn't have been so easy for Lu Ming to kill him. The assassin was also a top genius with an extremely strange movement technique. Whoosh! With a flap of his black wings, Lu Ming flew towards Yun Shi and the others. At this moment, Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were hiding in a canyon, carefully defending. We must find an opportunity to heavily injure this assassin. Otherwise, when the other assassin kills Lu Ming and returns, we'll be in danger even if we're in this canyon. Yun Kai said. He believed that Lu Ming was dead for sure. Whoosh! At this moment, the sound of rushing wind came from the distance. Lu Ming was flying over. Yun Kai's eyes suddenly widened, revealing a trace of disbelief. He shouted, "It's Lu Ming. He's actually not dead. He's actually still alive after being chased by an assassin from the Thousand Killers Manor?" With Lu Ming's cultivation, facing a terrifying assassin from the Thousand Killers Manor, he should be dead for sure. "I'm sorry to disappoint you." Lu Ming stood high in the sky, looking down at Yun Kai. It's just luck." Yun Kai snorted coldly. Whoosh! At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly dove down, rushing towards the canyon. But when he was about to reach the canyon, Lu Ming suddenly turned around and stabbed his spear into the void. Chapter 1594. The black-clothed man's eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect that Lu Ming would be able to discover him. At the critical moment, he used the long sword in his hand to block in front of him. Clang! The long spear collided with the black-clothed man's long sword. The long sword bent in an arc and collided with the black-clothed man's body. The black-clothed man's body shook violently and was sent flying. He slid on the ground, creating a several hundred-meter-long ditch. Swoosh! Lu Ming's figure didn't stop as he charged towards the black-clothed man. Lu Ming, wait a moment. Yuanxi cried out in alarm. Lu Ming's heart shook. He landed beside the black-clothed man and pointed his long spear, sealing the black-clothed man's origin energy. Why did you stop me? Lu Ming looked at Yuanxi. At this moment, Yuanxi, Yun Kai, and the others were dumbfounded. The Thousand Slayer Manor's assassin that was extremely troublesome to them was easily dealt with by Lu Ming. Lu Ming, once an assassin from the Thousand Slayer Manor is killed, they will leave behind a trace of killing mark on the body of the person who killed them. It's almost impossible to erase. Other assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor will use this trace to find the killer. They won't rest until the killer is dead. Therefore, you can't kill this Thousand Slayer Manor's assassin. Yuanxi took a deep breath to calm herself down and explained. So that's how it is. Lu Ming's gaze flickered and he said helplessly, unfortunately, it's too late. Too late? Yuanxi was stunned. Her beautiful eyes widened as she said, could it be that you've already killed someone? That's right. I've already killed the Thousand Slayer Manor's assassin who was chasing me earlier. Therefore, I don't mind killing one more person. After saying this, Lu Ming stabbed out with his long spear, killing the black-clothed assassin on the spot. A suction force came from his palm, and the assassin's storage ring and long sword were collected. Yuanxi, Yun Kai, and the others' faces were pale as they walked out of the valley. Lu Ming, how did you discover the assassin's hiding place? Yuanxi asked. My soul force is stronger. That's why I can sense the assassin's soul fluctuation. Lu Ming explained. There was nothing to hide. It was normal for some people to be gifted with powerful innate soul force. Lu Ming, you actually killed 2 assassins from Thousand Slayer Manor. Now, please leave. Yun Kai said coldly from the side. Oh? Lu Ming looked at Yun Kai. You don't have to be unwilling. You already have the slaughter mark of the Thousand Slayer Manor on you. The assassins from the Thousand Slayer Manor in the 100-clan battlefield will keep looking for you. I don't want to be implicated by you. Yun Kai said coldly. Hee. Lu Ming chuckled contemptuously. Previously, if it wasn't for Lu Ming, Yun Kai and the others wouldn't have stood a chance against the 2,000 Killers Manor's assassins. Now that the 1,000 Killers Manor's assassins were killed by Lu Ming, Yun Kai wanted to tell Lu Ming to leave so that he wouldn't be implicated by Lu Ming. How laughable. What are you laughing at? Today, you must leave. Yun Kai said coldly. There's no need for you to tell me to leave. It's not safe for me to stay with a piece of trash like you. Lu Ming said calmly. What did you say? How dare you say I'm a piece of trash, a mere 6th-layer martial dominator? Yun Kai was enraged as he snapped while pointing at Lu Ming. A mere 6th-layer martial dominator killed 2 assassins of the Thousand Killers Manor. What were you doing just then? Lu Ming said disdainfully, causing Yun Kai's face to redden. It's just that my soul force is slightly stronger. Yun Kai retorted. Lu Ming ignored Yun Kai's words. He glanced at Yun Feng, Yun Kai, and Yun Shi and said, Is this your opinion too? Yun Feng and Yun Kai wore awkward looks on their faces. They did not dare to look at Lu Ming and shifted their gazes away. Their opinion was the same as Yun Kai's. If Lu Ming continued to stay with them, they would all die when the experts of the Thousand Killers Manor arrived. Lu Ming, Yun Shi opened her mouth, but she stopped halfway with a guilty look on her face. It was reasonable for her to keep Lu Ming here, but her rationality told her that they would all die if she kept Lu Ming here. The assassins of the Thousand Killers Manor were too terrifying. Besides, the 100-tribe battlefield was the sacred ground of the Thousand Killers Manor, where countless geniuses gathered. The Thousand Killers Manor would send a large number of geniuses to the 100-tribe battlefield every year to practice their assassination skills. Therefore, many geniuses were intimidated by the Thousand Killers Manor at the 100-tribe battlefield. Those who were targeted by the Thousand Killers Manor were rarely able to survive. That's enough, I understand. Lu Ming will take his leave now. Lu Ming said coldly as he turned around to leave. However, at that instant, Lu Ming's eyes flickered as he glanced in a certain direction. Whoosh! Whoosh! 3 figures could be seen flying toward them from that direction. The one in the middle was wearing a purple golden robe. He had a slender and handsome figure, and there was a purple-colored sword-shaped mark on his forehead. His entire being was filled with a noble aura. Beside him were 2 other young men wearing purple-colored robes, who appeared to be extraordinary too. The 3 of them stopped above Lu Ming and his crew, staring down at Lu Ming and his crew. One of the young men glanced at Yuan, she with a hint of battle intent in his eyes. 9th layer martial dominator realm, the same as me. Young master, how about I go and test my strength? Sure, go ahead. The noble young man in the middle nodded his head. Whoosh! The young man stepped forward and emitted a 9th layer martial dominator realm aura, suppressing Yuan Shi as he said, "Fight me." This was the 100-tribe battlefield. There was no need for a reason to fight, as there were no rules here. There were only 2 reasons for the young geniuses to come here. Firstly, to train themselves. Secondly, to search for fortunate encounters. Only through great battles, only through killing, could one temper oneself. Once they stumbled into someone with a similar cultivation, it was normal for them to attack without a reason. On the other hand, those with a higher cultivation would not attack those with a lower cultivation, as there was no point in training themselves unless they had some kind of treasure on them. They would either challenge those with a higher cultivation or those with the same cultivation level to improve themselves in the face of death. Let's fight then. Yuan Shi held the spear in her hand and stepped into the air, facing the purple-robed young man. Kill. Without wasting any time, the purple-robed young man made his move. A light dot appeared on his forehead, and a battle sword flew out from it. He grabbed the sword in his hand and slashed at Yuan Shi. Whoosh! Yuan Shi lashed out with her spear like a silver lightning bolt. Clang! The spear and the battle sword collided, causing the sword intent and the spear glow to scatter in all directions. The 2 figures shuddered and were knocked a few steps backward. Without a doubt, the opponent was also a genius with a superior earthly spiritual body, possessing a shocking strength. Not bad, but it's far from enough, shouted the purple-clothed young man. A dot of light appeared on his arm. From that dot of light, a battle axe flew out and floated above his head. The battle axe seemed to have a connection with the battle sword in his hand, causing the power of the battle sword in his hand to become even stronger. Art of 10,000 weapons, you're from the Wan clan. Chapter 1595. Not bad. Let's see how many of my weapons you can take. The purple-clad young man stepped forward and slashed out with his sword. The sword light tore through the void, and its power was even stronger than before. Flying cloud spear art. Yuan Shi shouted. Her long spear was like a dragon, thrusting out streaks of dazzling spear light toward the purple-clad young man. Clang, clang, clang. The 2 of them clashed continuously, but they were still evenly matched. However, what was surprising was that the purple-clad young man's body shone with bright spots. A weapon flew out from each bright spot. These weapons floated around the purple-clad young man's body. These weapons seemed to be connected with each other. All the battle weapons she gathered in the purple-clad young man's battle sword, making the battle sword in his hand more and more terrifying. The purple-clad young man's weapon was only an emperor-level spiritual weapon, but it could borrow the chi of other spiritual weapons and merge them into one. Its power was even stronger than Yuan Shi's sacred weapon. Kill. The purple-clad young man became braver as he fought. He held a sword in his right hand and a battle axe in his left hand. He attacked from both sides and charged toward Yuan Shi. Slowly, Yuan Shi was being suppressed. What a strange domain. What a strange battle skill. There was a look of surprise in Lu Ming's eyes. His opponent's domain could actually use different weapons at the same time. When he used a sword, he could turn it into a sword domain. When he used an axe, he could turn it into an axe domain. It seemed to be similar to his chaotic domain. However, his opponent couldn't have cultivated the chaotic domain. 10,000 weapons domain. An extremely rare domain flashed in Lu Ming's mind. It was the 10,000 weapons domain. Legend had it that those who cultivated the 10,000 weapons domain could control all the weapons in the world. No matter what weapon was used, it could turn into a corresponding weapon domain. Of course, it was only limited to weapons. It couldn't turn into a fire domain or water domain. Those were the specialties of the chaotic domain. However, it was still very amazing. Come out! Finally, the purple-clad young man shouted. Bright spots lit up on his body again, and weapons flew out one after another. There were a total of 18 different weapons floating around the purple-clad young man. All of them were Emperor-level spiritual weapons. When the battle weapon chi of the 18 Emperor-level spiritual weapons gathered, their power was shocking. Clang! Yuanxi was sent flying by the sword. She spat out a mouthful of blood and her face pale. Yuanxi had been defeated. He was no match for her at the same level. Look at your skills. You must be from the Yuandi mountain. Hee, the Yuandi mountain is just SOSO. The purple-clothed young man smiled disdainfully and did not continue to attack. He stepped into the air and returned to the noble young man's side. 18 different ruler-level spirit weapons flew into his body and disappeared. Yuanxi's expression was ugly, but the 10,000 weapon chant practiced by the Wan family was really powerful. There are so many geniuses. Are they all geniuses from Emperor-ranked powers? A thought flashed across Lu Ming's mind. How long had it been since he entered the 100-tribe battlefield? Previously, he had met the 1,000 Slayer Manor's geniuses. Now, he was meeting the Wan clan's geniuses. They were all geniuses with high-grade Earth astral physiques. Moreover, their cultivation techniques and battle skills were stronger than the previous. If such prodigies were to be placed in the Tsang Prefecture, every single one of them would have the chance to compete for the position of the 10 great demon geniuses in the future. This caused the blood in his body to boil a little. Only in such an environment could one improve faster. At that instant, the noble young man glanced at the corpse of the 1,000 Slayer Manor's assassin and said in astonishment, "The assassin of the 1,000 Slayer Manor was killed by you guys?" Although he used the word you guys, his gaze was fixed on Yuanxi. In his opinion, only Yuanxi's strength was worth mentioning. The others were not worth mentioning. Among them, there was even a 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator. I didn't kill him. Yuanxi shook her head. Not you. The noble young man was startled. It's him. He killed him. At that instant, Yunkai pointed at Lu Ming and blurted out. The noble young man was startled. Before he glanced at Lu Ming and said in astonishment, "It's you?" A mere 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator was able to kill an assassin of the 1,000 Slayer Manor? Interesting. A 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator was able to kill an assassin of the 1,000 Slayer Manor. Interesting indeed. Young master, let me test him and see what he's capable of. Another purple-clothed young man beside the noble young man said, The noble young man nodded his head. The purple-clothed young man stepped forward as a powerful aura burst out from his body. Peak 8th-layer martial dominator realm. This purple-clothed young man's cultivation was slightly weaker than the one that Yuanxi had fought before. Kid, come and fight me. I would like to see what kind of special abilities you have. The purple-clothed young man glanced at Lu Ming. Lu Ming rose into the air as a powerful battle intent burst out from his body. He was eager to see how powerful the secret technique of the Wan clan was. Kid, you go first. Use your full strength at the end, or you won't have the chance. The purple-clothed young man calmly said with a disdainful look. A 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator was nothing in his eyes. He was only curious that Lu Ming was able to kill an assassin of the 1,000 Slayer Manor. Otherwise, with his cultivation, he would not challenge a 6th-layer martial dominator realm cultivator, as it would not serve as a training ground for him. Bang! Lu Ming was too lazy to waste his time. Since the young man had asked him to make the first move, he immediately made his move. He executed the heavenly art of hell and threw a punch in the direction of the purple-clothed young man. The space trembled as the terrifying force of the punch suppressed the air, forming a terrifying wave of air that surged toward the young man. The young man's expression changed tremendously. The power of Lu Ming's punch had completely exceeded his expectations. A spot of light appeared in between his eyebrows. A A huge axe flew out and slashed toward Lu Ming. Clang! The fist collided with the axe, causing the young man's body to tremble violently as he was knocked a few steps back. So that's all you've got? Lu Ming calmly said. Die. The young man let out a roar as 6 light dots appeared on his body. 6 mystical weapons of different colors appeared. Together with the battle axe from before, there were a total of 7 mystical weapons, all of which were Martial Dominator Realm. The 7 Martial Dominator Realm weapons floated around the young man as the auras of the weapons merged with one another and gathered on the battle axe. Die! The young man let out a roar as he slashed at Lu Ming with the battle axe in his hand. The power of his attack was stronger than before. The flowing force gauntlet covered his hand as his chi surged into it, causing it to feel as heavy as a mountain. Bang! Lu Ming punched out once again. This time, the young man was knocked back again as he was suppressed by Lu Ming. Although the young man's cultivation was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming's and his battle skills were extremely powerful, his spiritual body was still a superior Earth spiritual body. Lu Ming was able to defeat or even kill such a genius back at the treasure sorting convention. Now that Lu Ming had used a sacred weapon, he could easily suppress the young man. Die! The young man let out a frenzied roar. He couldn't accept that he was suppressed in 2 consecutive moves. Chapter 1596. Another light spot lit up in his body. This time, there were 10 light spots at once, and another 10 Emperor-level spirit weapons flew out. 17 Emperor-level weapons floated in the air. The aura of the weapons was extremely dense and gathered on the battle axe. It made the young man's aura extremely strong. Kill! 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 The young man in purple robes shouted. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He wanted to kill Lu Ming to redeem his face. He took a step forward, surrounded by his weapons. The giant axe was swung out as if it could split the sky. You want to kill me? Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a sharp light. More true yuan poured into the flowing element glove. The flowing element glove shone like a small sun. Boom! He threw out a punch that could crush everything. Dong! 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 Lu Ming exchanged 3 moves with his opponent. After each move, his opponent had to take 3 steps back. After 3 moves, his opponent had to take 9 steps back. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. The power of the divine sword art exploded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. 2 black swords shot out from his eyes and rushed into the young man in purple robes. The young man's body trembled and his eyes lost focus for a moment. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming threw out another punch. This punch was as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. At the critical moment, although the other party used his battle axe to block it, there was a limit to the amount of energy he could muster. The battle axe was sent flying by Lu Ming's punch. He retreated wildly and vomited blood. Whoosh! Lu Ming took a big step forward, wanting to defeat his opponent in 1 move. Enough! The noble young man frowned. A cold light flashed in his eyes as he took a step forward. Boom! This step seemed to shake the heavens and earth. A terrifying force rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face changed. He threw out a punch, but it was useless. He could not break through the force. When the force rushed over, Lu Ming's body slid back a few thousand meters. What? Taking turns to fight? If one doesn't work, 2? Lu Ming sneered. Taking turns to fight? Haha, what a joke. The noble young man clasped his hands behind his back and stood in the air. His body exuded a terrifying pressure that bore down on Lu Ming. It was like a divine weapon that wanted to break through the heavens and slash apart the world. Lu Ming covered his entire body with his primal chaos domain, resisting the pressure with all his might. Your strength is not bad, but a mere 6th-layer martial dominator realm is not worthy enough to fight me, the noble young man said indifferently. His tone was filled with confidence and disdain for Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not worthy of fighting with him. After saying this, the noble young man looked at the young man who had been injured by Lu Ming and said, "Cultivate well in the future and strive to break through. The next time you see this person, you will kill him with your own hands. Do you understand?" "Understood, young master." The young man in purple bowed in response. His gaze towards Lu Ming was filled with icy cold killing intent. Let's go. The noble young man withdrew his aura and soared into the sky. That was right. As he had mentioned, Lu Ming's cultivation was too weak to fight him. He was not even interested in fighting him. In the blink of an eye, the noble young man and the two young men in purple disappeared from the crowd's sight. Meanwhile, Yun Kai, Yun Feng, and the others glanced at Lu Ming with great fear. Lu Ming was able to defeat a genius of the 8th layer martial dominator realm from the Wan clan. His strength had exceeded their expectations. Although Yun Kai's cultivation was also at the peak of the 8th layer martial dominator realm, he believed that he would not stand a chance against the geniuses of the Wan clan. However, Lu Ming was able to defeat him, implying that his strength was stronger than his. Yun Shi glanced at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. She was no match against the geniuses of the Wan clan, but Lu Ming was able to defeat the geniuses of the Wan clan with a gap of 2 layers. His strength was unbelievable. Farewell. At that instant, Lu Ming glanced at Yun Shi and brought his fists together, planning to leave on his own. It was more convenient for him to move on his own. Lu Ming, the Thousand Assassins sect, was established by the Thousand Assassins martial monarch. Its strength is incredible, with countless experts, especially at the 100-tribe battlefield. Be careful. Yun Shi could not bear it and reminded Lu Ming. Thanks, I'll be careful. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, there are cities built by locals at the 100-tribe battlefield. If you were to enter the cities, the people of the Thousand Assassins sect would be cautious and not dare to cross the line. Yun Shi reminded. Lu Ming nodded. Not everyone at the 100-tribe battlefield was an outsider like them. There were locals too. In truth, the natives were not pure natives. They were all people who had entered the 100-race battlefield in the distant past. Some of them had stayed in the 100-race battlefield forever and never left. They had taken root in the 100-race battlefield and reproduced. Over time, more and more people came to the 100-tribe battlefield. These people were called locals. Moreover, the natives had been living in the 100-race battlefield since they were young. They were already used to the chaotic laws and could adapt to them. Therefore, some natives with peerless talent were able to break through to the Saint Realm in the 100-race battlefield without dying or going crazy because of the chaotic laws. However, the restrictions on the 100-tribe battlefield were great. Therefore, the strongest of the locals could only cultivate to the bright Saint Realm. It was almost impossible for them to break through to the great Saint Realm. These local Saint Realm experts would build cities and establish forces on the 100-tribe battlefield. Killing was generally forbidden in these cities. Therefore, if anyone violated the rules, the local Saint Realm experts might act and kill the violator. Therefore, there were no rules on the 100-tribe battlefield, but there were still some rules in those cities. Of course, things were not absolute. If one was strong enough, one could kill others in the city and quickly escape the city. Even the saints could not do anything about it, but at least it was much safer than outside the city. Therefore, Yun Shi suggested that Lu Ming go to the city. Lu Ming did not say anything more. He turned and stepped into the air, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Humph, with the slaughter mark on him, he will definitely not be able to reach the nearest city. He will definitely be found and killed by the 1,000-killer manner. Yun Kai sneered. Yun Shi looked at Yun Kai with some disgust, then turned and left. Whoosh whoosh. Lu Ming controlled the black feather wings and moved forward at an extremely fast speed. Soon, he had flown tens of thousands of miles. The 100-tribe battlefield has gathered the geniuses of many Emperor-level forces. Almost all of them are geniuses with superior earthly spiritual bodies. In the depths of the 100-tribe battlefield, there are even geniuses who have cultivated to the heavenly spiritual body. There are too many geniuses. My cultivation is too weak. I must break through as soon as possible. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Lu Ming's weakness had always been his cultivation. He came from a remote island, and the cultivation environment was not good. Compared to the geniuses of Yuanlu, his cultivation was much weaker. He had comprehended the primal chaos domain. He did not fear anyone at the same level. It's time to find a place to break through. Lu Ming looked around. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming flew toward a large mountain. Then, the primal chaos domain turned into the earth domain. Lu Ming directly rushed into the mountain. Just like the earth escape technique, there was no change on the surface of the mountain. Chapter 1597. After entering the mountain and river diagram, Lu Ming sat cross-legged under the enlightenment ancient tree. By now, Lu Ming had watered it with a large amount of spiritual liquid. The enlightenment ancient tree was growing very well. It was now 2 meters tall, and its trunk was as thick as an arm. Its branches and leaves were lush, and wisps of heavenly Tao aura lingered between the branches and leaves. When a cultivator sat cross-legged under the enlightenment ancient tree, his heart would be calm, his mind would be clear, and his thoughts would be active. The speed of comprehension would increase by many times. Following that, Lu Ming took out a heavenly Tao stone. The heavenly Tao stone emitted heavenly Tao aura, allowing Lu Ming to comprehend the chaotic domain even faster. Lu Ming closed his eyes and quietly comprehended. Previously, Lu Ming had traveled the world for a full year and was in harmony with nature. During that year, although Lu Ming's cultivation progress was very slow, his chaotic domain had already reached the peak of level 6 and could break through at any time. Furthermore, Lu Ming was in harmony with nature, so his comprehension speed was faster. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. Lu Ming's chaotic domain suddenly shook and became stronger and more condensed. The chaotic domain had broken through and reached level 7. A level 7 domain was already considered a domain controlled by a high-level martial emperor. However, Lu Ming did not stop. His previous accumulation was too strong. It was like a flood that flowed out of a dam. The chaotic domain was improving rapidly. As for the heavenly Tao stones, Lu Ming took them out one after another. After another 2 days, Lu Ming's chaotic domain reached the peak of level 7 in one go. With this breakthrough, the chaotic domain directly increased by an entire level. The speed was shocking. Of course, this was because Lu Ming had been accumulating for a year. Now that he had suddenly erupted, the speed was naturally shocking. Later on, after the eruption, his cultivation speed would return to normal. After the breakthrough in the chaotic domain, it was time to make a breakthrough in cultivation. Lu Ming took out a large number of mid-grade origin stones and erupted with devouring power, starting to devour and refine them. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Lu Ming's cultivation skyrocketed until it reached the peak 7th layer martial dominator realm, which was on par with the chaos domain. Lu Ming had officially stepped into the ranks of high-level martial emperors. His battle prowess had greatly increased. The increase in Lu Ming's cultivation brought about an increase in his battle prowess. As his true essence increased, his spirit body would become more condensed and stronger. Moreover, his soul force would also become stronger as his cultivation increased. Furthermore, due to the difficulty of raising the primal chaos domain, the might of the primal chaos domain would soar every time it was raised. At the same time, as one's cultivation rose, one would be able to better utilize the prowess of a saint artifact. Therefore, Lu Ming's cultivation increased by 1 level, and his battle prowess skyrocketed. Currently, if Lu Ming were to fight against a peak 8th layer martial dominator realm genius like Yun Kai, he was confident that he would be able to defeat him in an instant. It's time for me to go out and find experts to spar with. Only then will I be able to break through faster. Blindly going into seclusion has lost the meaning of coming to the 100-tribe battlefield. Lu Ming pondered for a moment before exiting the mountain and river diagram. He transformed the chaos domain into the earth domain and rushed out of the mountain, flying towards the depths of the 100-race battlefield. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Lu Ming had not flown far when he saw a few figures cutting through the void and flying in one direction. Someone glanced at Lu Ming from afar, ignoring Lu Ming's presence. They are all experts, 9th layer martial dominator realm experts. Lu Ming murmured and continued to move forward. However, Lu Ming encountered several batches of people consecutively, and they were flying in the same direction. Isn't it too much of a coincidence that so many people are flying in the same direction? Or is there something attracting them in that direction? Lu Ming pondered. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At that instant, Lu Ming saw another 3 figures flying in the same direction. Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming immediately withdrew his aura and landed on the ground. He used the trees to cover the mountain and followed the group from afar. An hour later, they arrived at a vast mountain range. The three figures suddenly came to a stop and nodded at one another before descending and disappearing. Lu Ming soared into the sky and appeared in the sky above where the few of them had been standing earlier. He looked down. Below him was a huge boulder, but he could see a well-hidden crack among the boulders. It was difficult to see it without taking a closer look. At that moment, those silhouettes had already disappeared. Could it be that those people had entered the crack? Lu Ming summoned the black feathered wings with a thought. Following this, his figure was encapsulated by the chaotic domain as he descended toward the crack. The crack continued to extend downward. It was pitch black, but as Lu Ming continued to descend, the crack became bigger and wider. There's another world inside the crack? Lu Ming stood in the air and glanced downward. Below him was a boundless land. With the dim light, he could barely see the mountains and rivers. Lu Ming landed on a mountain and scanned his surroundings. What came into view were huge mountains, but there was no vegetation. There were only black rocks and mud everywhere. Could it be that the people he saw before are all here? Lu Ming pondered. The 100 Tribes battlefield took place in the ancient times. Countless experts participated in the battle, and countless experts died in the battle, forming a strange place. Those strange places usually had great opportunities, but they were also accompanied by risks. Kill. Suddenly, a strong wind blew behind Lu Ming, attacking Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He dodged the attack with a flicker and turned around. What is this? Such a strong demonic aura. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The one attacking him was a tall and muscular monster covered in black bone spikes. It had a humanoid figure and was holding a battle axe in its hand. Its body was emitting a strong demonic aura. Kill. The monster uttered human words and roared, pouncing toward Lu Ming. 6th layer martial dominator realm. Die. Lu Ming lashed out a punch with the force of the hell-suppressing heaven art. Bang. The monster's strength was equivalent to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Its body exploded as soon as it was struck by Lu Ming's punch. However, this monster did not have a body of flesh and blood. After its body exploded, it turned into a cloud of demonic aura and kept tumbling in the air. It then condensed into the appearance of the monster and charged toward Lu Ming with a roar. Since it's made of demonic aura, I shall erase your demonic aura. Lu Ming immediately unleashed his chaotic domain. The monster's body was shattered once again, turning into a demonic aura. However, the demonic aura reappeared and transformed into the appearance of the monster, although its aura was slightly weakened. What kind of monster is this? Even the chaotic domain can only erase its aura slightly. It's impossible to kill it. Lu Ming was astounded. Chapter 1598. This monster was even more difficult to deal with than those martial artists who cultivated natural spiritual bodies. When those martial artists who cultivated natural spiritual bodies were attacked, their bodies would turn into natural elements to reduce the damage. However, as long as they were strong enough, they could still continuously destroy the opponent's spiritual body. However, this monster seemed to be unable to be destroyed by pure strength. Even the chaotic domain had little effect on it. No, this monster has a core. It's right between its eyebrows. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. When he scattered the monster again, he discovered that there was a black crystal between the monster's eyebrows. It was surrounded by demonic chi. He had not discovered it before. Moreover, the scattered demonic chi had gathered there to reform the monster's body. Puff. Lu Ming stepped forward and clawed out. Like a dragon's claw, his claw pierced through the monster's eyebrows and grabbed the crystal. Then, Lu Ming retreated and took out the crystal. Lu Ming looked and saw that there was a black crystal in his hand. There was a layer of black demonic fire on the crystal. There's a trace of spirituality on the crystal. Interesting. Extinguish. Lu Ming muttered and poured his true essence into the crystal. The demonic fire on the crystal was extinguished. Bang. When the demonic fire on the crystal was extinguished, the monster's body exploded and turned into demonic chi. It dissipated between heaven and earth and could no longer reform. This crystal was the core. Could this be the legendary demonic fiend crystal? Looking at the crystal in his hand, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Demonic fiend crystal was a very precious treasure. It could only be born in places with extremely dense demonic qi. The greatest function of the demonic fiend crystal was to temper the soul. Through the tempering of the demonic fiend crystal, a martial artist's soul power would constantly improve. There's actually a demonic fiend crystal in this place. Lu Ming's eyes became brighter and brighter. Lu Ming cultivated the divine sword art. The demonic fiend crystal was of great use to him. Because of the world-refining calamity bell, Lu Ming's soul power was dozens of times stronger than other martial practitioners at the same level. Lu Ming's current soul power was even stronger than a warrior at the peak of the 9th level of the martial royal realm. His soul power was even close to that of a half-saint. With such a strong soul power, the divine sword art could directly tear apart the soul of a martial artist of the same level, causing the opponent's soul to scatter. Even a martial artist at the peak of the 9th level of the martial royal realm would be greatly affected, and their combat strength would be greatly reduced. Even half-saints could be affected by Lu Ming's soul attack, and their fighting strength would be weakened. If Lu Ming's soul power continued to improve and reach the level of a half-saint, or even stronger, he could directly tear apart a half-saint's soul when using the Holy Sword technique. This would greatly enhance Lu Ming's battle strength. Moreover, it was said that the more powerful a martial artist was, the more they focused on their soul. It was said that after one's cultivation reached a certain level, the soul was extremely important to a martial artist. Therefore, the value of demon fiend crystals in the market was shockingly high. Are there any more demon fiend crystals in this place? After Lu Ming put away the demon fiend crystals, his figure flashed and he directly rushed down the mountain and landed on a rugged place with strange rocks. Roar! As soon as Lu Ming landed, a loud roar resounded and a giant tiger pounced on Lu Ming. This giant tiger was pitch black and had a surging demon qi. It was also at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch and the gigantic tiger exploded. Just like the humanoid demonic creature previously, the demonic aura surged and the gigantic tiger's body condensed again. Sure enough, just now, Lu Ming had indeed seen a crystal between the giant tiger's eyebrows. Kill! Lu Ming stepped forward and his claw pierced through the giant tiger's eyebrows and grabbed the crystal. Demon Fiend Crystal. It was really a Demon Fiend Crystal. There was also a layer of demon fire on it, which was extinguished by Lu Ming. As for the giant tiger, it turned into demon qi and dissipated. Haha, this is really a land of treasures. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His figure flickered as he began to search for demonic creatures. After a few miles, another demonic creature appeared. It was a giant wolf, also at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. Lu Ming grabbed the demon fiend crystal between its eyebrows and continued to move forward. Roar! Roar! For more than 10 miles, Lu Ming did not see any demonic creatures. However, after 10 miles, continuous roars could be heard as 6 demonic creatures pounced on him. One of them was at the 8th level of the martial royal realm. 2 of them were at the 7th level of the martial royal realm, and the other 3 were at the 6th level of the martial royal realm. The 6 demonic creatures attacked at the same time, which was extremely powerful. Lu Ming cast the wind element skill and his figure flashed. He killed a 6th level martial emperor demonic creature with one move and grabbed the demon crystal. At the same time, he flapped his black wings and scattered the other demonic creatures, turning them into demonic aura. However, they condensed again the next moment. Puff, puff. Lu Ming continued to attack. The demon fiend crystals of the other 2 6th level martial royal realm demonic creatures were grabbed by Lu Ming and stored in the mountain and river diagram. Then, he pounced on a 7th level martial royal realm demonic creature and clawed at it. The demonic creature let out a roar and twisted its head to dodge Lu Ming's attack. However, Lu Ming's claw landed on its body, which exploded into pieces, but quickly recondensed. Pretty smart. Lu Ming murmured as he continued to grab the other 2 demonic creatures. The 2 demonic creatures were also very smart. They protected their heads very well and did not let Lu Ming grab them. As for their bodies, they allowed Lu Ming to bombard them. These demonic creatures were even more difficult to deal with than cultivators of the same level. As long as they protected their heads, they would attack the other parts of their bodies. If it weren't for Lu Ming's outstanding strength, he would have been in trouble. 9 seals of the God Gate. Let's see how you're going to escape. Lu Ming performed a hand seal, causing 7 doors of the seal to appear in the sky. Lu Ming was now able to summon 7 doors of the seal. The 7 doors of the seal emitted a blinding glow, which instantly froze the 3 demonic creatures in place. Puff, puff, puff. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he grabbed the demon fiend crystals of the 3 demonic creatures. He then used his true force to erase the presence of the crystals. The 6 demonic creatures turned into demonic chi and dissipated into the air. The higher the cultivation of the demonic creature, the better the quality of the demon fiend crystal. Lu Ming inspected the 7th layer martial royal realm and the 8th layer demon fiend crystal in his hand, and discovered that their quality was indeed better than the 6th layer martial royal realm demonic creatures. Lu Ming put them away and continued to move forward. There seemed to be a large number of demonic creatures in this place. As Lu Ming moved forward, he constantly encountered demonic creatures. The highest level ones were equivalent to 9th layer martial royal realm demonic creatures. The higher the level, the stronger the strength, and the harder it was to capture the demon fiend crystal. However, Lu Ming had the 9 seals of the God Gate, which could seal the movements of the demonic creatures, making it more convenient. In the end, Lu Ming even asked Bubbles to help. With Bubbles' space-time domain, it was easy to seal the demonic creatures. Lu Ming was like a harvester, harvesting the demon fiend crystals. Half a day later, Lu Ming had obtained more than 100 demon fiend crystals. Chapter 1599. Inside a cave, a pagoda was floating above Lu Ming's head. A space-time domain was emitted from the pagoda, and a transparent bubble was formed, trapping a 9th layer martial dominator realm demonic creature. Lu Ming grabbed the demonic creature's demon crystal with his claw. It's so convenient with Bubble's help. Lu Ming's face was filled with smiles. Bubble was hiding inside the pagoda. As Lu Ming's cultivation improved, the people he came into contact with were also stronger. Many people would be able to recognize Bubble at a glance. A young space-time spirit mouse was priceless and extremely tempting. If it was targeted by some powerful existences, Lu Ming would be in danger. Therefore, when Lu Ming asked Bubble to come out to help, he would let Bubble enter the pagoda. This way, many people would think that the pagoda only had the space-time domain. Although the pagoda with the space-time domain was precious, it still had some functions. Since it could not be upgraded, some powerful existences would not be interested in it. However, if it was a space-time spirit mouse, it would be completely different. After being trained, it would be able to defy the heavens in the future. This was the real top 10 battle beasts. Lu Ming naturally had to be cautious. After obtaining the demon crystal, Lu Ming exited the cave and continued to move forward. This area was very spacious. Until now, Lu Ming had not encountered anyone else. Not long after, Lu Ming obtained a few more demon crystals. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, Lu Ming heard a series of roars coming from ahead. They were all the cries of demonic creatures. Judging from the sound, there were a lot of them. Let's go. Lu Ming's eyes lit up as he rushed toward the direction of the sound. After going around 2 mountains, Lu Ming saw a large group of demonic creatures besieging 4 young men. It's them. What a coincidence. Lu Ming squinted his eyes. The 4 young men were Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others. They must have seen the others coming in this direction, so they followed. At least hundreds of monsters were besieging Yun Shi and the others. With Yun Shi and the others' battle prowess, it was easy for them to fight across realms, so they weren't afraid of these demonic creatures. However, with so many demonic creatures, it wouldn't be so easy to obtain the demon crystals. Damn, these monsters are too cunning. They always avoid the head, so we can't get the demon fiend crystals. Yun Kai cursed. If there were a small number of monsters, they could besiege them and get the demon crystals, but there were too many monsters on the scene. Moreover, you can't directly shatter the monster's head. That way, the demon fiend crystals inside will also be shattered. That way, wouldn't it be a waste? Yunshi's group of 4 continued to attack. Demonic creatures were constantly being blasted apart, but as soon as these demonic creatures were blasted apart, other demonic creatures would rush over and attack Yunshi's group, making it so that they had no time to pursue and seize the demon fiend crystals. After fighting for a while, they didn't even get a single demon crystal. At this time, Lu Ming stepped out and walked out. "It's you, Lu Ming?" Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were astonished when they saw Lu Ming walk out. "Lu Ming, you're actually still alive. Looks like your luck isn't bad. The Thousand Slayer Manor hasn't found you during this time." Yun Kai sneered. Lu Ming glanced at Yun Kai indifferently. Lu Ming directly ignored this kind of person. Roar, roar. When Lu Ming appeared, a group of demonic creatures changed direction and rushed toward Lu Ming. Almost all of them were 6th or 7th level Martial Emperor Realm demonic creatures. 9 Divine Gate Seals. Lu Ming formed hand seals and 7 Divine Gates seals appeared, sealing 7 demonic creatures. Then, his figure flickered and 7 demon fiend crystals appeared in Lu Ming's hand. So easy. Yun Shi, Yun Kai, and the others were dumbfounded. Especially Yun Kai, who revealed a jealous expression. Roar, roar. More demonic creatures rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming formed another Divine Gate seal, and this time, Bubble assisted Lu Ming. A large number of demonic creatures were frozen, unable to move. Lu Ming walked leisurely as if he was picking fruits in his own backyard. His claws reached out and demon fiend crystals were grabbed by Lu Ming. The demonic creatures turned into demonic chi and dissipated. Then, Lu Ming rushed toward the demonic creatures that were besieging Yun Shi and the others. He repeated the same trick. Soon, more than 100 demonic creatures all turned into demonic aura and dissipated. The demon crystals all entered Lu Ming's mountain river diagram. Yun Shi and the others were stunned. Damn it! Yun Kai's eyes were filled with the flames of jealousy. They had worked hard to obtain a single demon fiend crystal, but Lu Ming had easily obtained more than 100 demon fiend crystals. His speed was many times faster than theirs. Lu Ming, these demonic creatures were attracted by us. It's too unkind of you to take action halfway. Why don't you take out some demon fiend crystals and share them with us? Yun Kai's gaze shifted as he sneered. You guys attracted them? Ridiculous. This area is full of demonic creatures. How can you say you attracted them? Moreover, I saved you guys. You don't thank me for saving you, but you want me to share your demon fiend crystals. You're really thick-skinned. Lu Ming mocked. Humph. Yun Kai coldly snorted. His face was a little ugly. Then, his eyes shifted again, revealing a fake smile. Lu Ming, you came from Cloud Emperor Mountain, so you're originally part of our team. How about you return to the team now? We'll take the demon fiend crystals together and divide them equally. How about it? Lu Ming's face revealed a sneer, looking at Yun Kai as if he was looking at an idiot. This Yun Kai was not only thick-skinned, but also shameless. Previously, he was afraid of being hunted by Thousand Slayer Manor, so he chased Lu Ming away. Now, after seeing Lu Ming's shocking efficiency in seizing the demon fiend crystals, he wanted Lu Ming to return to the team. Moreover, he even proposed to divide the demon fiend crystals equally. How ridiculous was that? Lu Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile. Sure, but after we leave this place, we'll still be a team. We'll travel together. How about it? Yun Kai immediately stiffened. What a joke. After leaving this place, Lu Ming would continue to be with them. If the assassins of Thousand Slayer Manor came, then wouldn't they have to die with Lu Ming? How could that be possible? Yun Kai's gaze shifted again. All right, sure. Although he said so, he was thinking in his heart that he would first stabilize Lu Ming, and after obtaining a large amount of demon fiend crystals and leaving this place, he would kick Lu Ming away. Haha, I was just joking with you just now. You believe me? Lu Ming laughed loudly. The ridicule in his voice was even thicker. Lu Ming, you. Yun Kai was furious, knowing that he was fooled by Lu Ming. Lu Ming had no intention of returning to the team. Roar, roar. At this moment, a series of roars came from a nearby canyon. The ground shook as a group of demonic creatures charged over ferociously. There are so many demonic creatures here. Chapter 1600. Lu Ming cooperated with Bubble and harvested the demon crystals from the demonic creatures. Yun Kai's eyes turned red with jealousy. He roared angrily and wanted to grab the demon crystals. However, after fighting with a demonic creature for a long time, he only managed to get one. Lu Ming had already obtained nearly 100 demon crystals. More than 100 demonic creatures had rushed out of the canyon. In the blink of an eye, there were only a dozen left. At this moment, a few young men flew over from the sky. As soon as the young men arrived, they were attracted by Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming was using the 9 seals of the Divine Gate. 7 sealing doors had sealed 7 demonic creatures and seized 7 demon crystals. What a powerful sealing technique! One of the young men's eyes lit up. At this moment, Lu Ming also noticed the young men in the sky. He used the sealing doors again to seal the remaining demonic creatures and seize the demon crystals. Then, he moved and was about to leave. However, in the sky, the figures of the few young men flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. "What can I do for you?" Lu Ming asked coldly. "Nothing. We think your sealing technique is good, so we want to cooperate with you." One of the young men with short hair said with a faint smile. The aura of a LV9 Martial Royal Realm was released and locked on to Lu Ming. "Cooperation? I'm not interested. I prefer to be alone." Lu Ming rejected directly. After being rejected by Lu Ming, the young man with short hair said in a threatening tone, "Kid, you're only a LV7 Martial Royal Realm cultivator. You'd better understand the situation." As soon as he finished speaking, his aura became stronger and formed a terrifying pressure that pressed down on Lu Ming. The threat was self-evident. At the same time, the other 3 young men also released their auras and pressed down on Lu Ming. One of them was at the peak of LV9 Martial Royal Realm, and 2 were at the peak of LV8 Martial Royal Realm. The 4 experts surrounded Lu Ming with gloomy eyes. Not far away, Yun Kai was gloating. "Haha, this kid is too arrogant. Let's see how he's going to die now. Yun Shi, this has nothing to do with us. You'd better not interfere." Yun Kai sneered and reminded Yun Shi not to make a move. Yun Shi frowned. However, there were 2 people in the 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. Even if she wanted to help, there was nothing she could do. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold. He looked around and coldly spat out a word. "Scram!" The words caused the faces of the 4 young men to turn dark. "Brat, if it weren't for the fact that you have some value, I would have slapped you to death right now. Now, I'll give you 2 options. The first is to hand over the demon crystals on you, and then obediently follow us and help us hunt for demon crystals. The second option is death. Which one will you choose?" The short-haired youth said coldly, "I choose the other 2 paths." Lu Ming said, "Which 2? The short-haired young man was stunned and asked subconsciously, "First, get lost immediately. Second, you die." Lu Ming said. The 4 young men were startled. "Kid, you dare to trick us? Die." The short-haired young man's eyes emitted an icy murderous intent. A thunderous sword appeared in his hand as he slashed in Lu Ming's direction. "Kill." Lu Ming uttered a roar as he unleashed the godly sword art to attack his opponent's soul. The short-haired young man halted his slash and uttered a roar. Whoosh! Lu Ming held the black dragon spear in his hand and nailed the short-haired young man to the ground. Since the battle was about to begin, Lu Ming would not show any mercy. He immediately executed a thunderous blow to kill his opponent. The other 3 were stunned. They did not expect Lu Ming to be so terrifying, killing the short-haired young man with a single attack. The short-haired young man was a 9th layer Martial Dominator Realm expert, 2 layers higher than Lu Ming's cultivation, but he had been killed with a single attack. It was too late when the 3 reacted. The 7 sealed doors appeared around them. The terrifying sealing force made it difficult for them to move. They immediately unleashed their attacks in an attempt to destroy the doors of sealing. Kill. Following this, the godly sword art was unleashed and penetrated their bodies, causing their souls to feel as if they were being torn apart. "Ino, spare my life." The three young men screamed in terror. However, they were greeted with three terrifying spear glows from Lu Ming's spear. The spear glows penetrated the bodies of the three young men, killing them instantly. Lu Ming waved his hand and retrieved the storage rings of the four young men before he glanced at Yun Kai coldly. Yun Kai's figure began to tremble as his heart turned cold, causing his face to turn pale. Four experts, including a ninth-layer Martial Dominator Realm expert, were instantly killed by Lu Ming without any chance to retaliate. With his strength, killing him would be a piece of cake. How is this Lu Ming so powerful? How is he so powerful? Yun Kai yelled in his heart. Lu Ming's strength was a lot stronger than the others, even though they both possessed a superior earthly spiritual body, which was difficult for him to accept. In fact, Lu Ming's strength was not much stronger than the short-haired young man's. Earlier on, the few of them had underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's divine sword art and divine gate 9 seals complemented each other seamlessly. It was simply too amazing. As long as one's combat strength did not exceed Lu Ming's by too much, one would only die under Lu Ming's attacks. Lu Ming's two moves would not be effective against a half-saint. Lu Ming's current soul power was close to that of a half-saint. Although the godly sword art could shake a half-saint's soul, it would not be so serious that the half-saint could resist it. The 9 seals of the God's Gate would also be destroyed. However, a genius with a 9th-layer Martial Dominator Realm superior earthly spiritual body could not resist Lu Ming's two moves. Lu Ming could indeed kill them easily. Lu Ming glanced at Yun Kai coldly, then he flapped his black wings and soared into the sky, leaving the place. Phew! After Lu Ming left, Yun Kai let out a long sigh. The pressure that Lu Ming gave him was too great. That brat! Yun Kai gritted his teeth. Roar! Roar! At this moment, a few demonic creatures rushed out of the valley. Yun Shi and the others gathered their thoughts and fought with the demonic creatures. There were only a few demonic creatures, so it was not difficult for them to deal with them. Soon, they had taken the demon crystals. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, there was another sound in the sky. 3 figures appeared in the sky, and a terrifying pressure pressed down on Yun Shi and the others. It's them, the geniuses of the Wan clan, Yun Kai said with a pale face. The 3 figures in the sky were the noble young men of the Wan clan and the 2 young men in purple robes. So you're from the Cloud Emperor Mountain. Now, hand over all your demon crystals. A young man in purple robes stepped out and said coldly, What? You want to rob us of our demon crystals? Yun Shi said angrily, If you don't give it to us, then die. Hurry up, we don't have time to talk nonsense with you. The young man in purple robes said, Yun Shi was furious, but there was nothing she could do. She looked at the noble young man in fear. That noble young man was definitely a terrifying figure, and the pressure he gave her was too great. Chapter 1601. In the end, Yun Shi and the others reluctantly took out all the demon crystals and handed them to the purple-clad young man. The purple-clad young man respectfully handed them to the noble young man. The noble young man put them away and was about to leave. Wait a minute, Yun Kai called out. The noble young man turned around, looked at Yun Kai, and said indifferently, What? Do you want to die? No. It's my honor to be able to give my demon crystals to you all. I have an important piece of news to tell you all. There is one person who has at least several hundred demon crystals, or even more. Yun Kai hurriedly said, A few hundred? The noble young man's eyes revealed a fiery light. Boy, who has the ability to get a few hundred demon crystals? If you lie, you are courting death. Do you understand? A purple-clad young man said coldly, I'm definitely not lying. Several of us can testify that that person has mastered a sealing method. He can quickly seal the demons and then seize the demon crystal. This place is filled with dense demon chi that hasn't dissipated yet. It was caused by that person just now. Yun Kai said. Yun Kai, you. Yun Shi scolded him. She didn't expect Yun Kai to be so despicable as to push Lu Ming out. Yun Kai's eyes flashed with a sinister light, and he didn't look at Yun Shi. Yes, The demon chi here is indeed very dense. Who is that person? The noble young man said. You have all seen that person. He was with us before and was lucky enough to defeat one of you. His name is Lu Ming. Yun Kai hurriedly said. So it's him. The noble young man's eyes flashed sharply. You better not let me find out that you are lying to me. Tell me, which direction did he go? That direction. Yun Kai pointed in the direction Lu Ming had left. Let's go, the noble young man said. He took the two purple-clad young men and chased in the direction Lu Ming had left, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Yun Kai, you have gone too far. Lu Ming has no enmity with us. We came in together and let him leave alone. That's too much. Yuan Shi looked at Yun Kai with disappointment. Why are you so anxious? Could it be that you have taken a fancy to that boy? Yun Kai sneered. You. Don't talk nonsense. Yuan Shi blushed. That brat doesn't know what's good for him. He's so arrogant. I don't like him. He's just a man from the Tsang continent. Yet he has to be respectful in front of Cloud Emperor Mountain. Otherwise, he'll die. Yun Kai said coldly. His eyes were filled with jealousy. Yun Shi sighed. She was disgusted with Yun Kai. Yun Kai was too narrow-minded. Lu Ming naturally didn't know that the Wan family's geniuses were already looking for him. He was still searching for demonic creatures and seizing demon fiend crystals. Along the way, he seized several dozen more demon fiend crystals. Right now, he already had close to 300 pieces of demon fiend crystals on him. Of course, most of them were demonic demon crystals of the 6th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. There were even some demonic demon crystals of the 5th layer, 8th layer, and 9th layer. If he could refine it, his soul power would definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Roar. A demonic leopard was astonishingly fast. Seeing that it was no match for him, it actually broke into a run. This was a demonic creature at the peak of the 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. How could Lu Ming let it escape? Where do you think you're going? Lu Ming used the wind origin technique and the black feather wings to chase after the demonic leopard. However, when the demonic leopard ran, it was like a bolt of black lightning. Lu Ming couldn't catch up with it for a while. It seems that I have to find some time to cultivate a movement technique. The wind origin technique can't keep up with me anymore. Lu Ming thought to himself. As his cultivation increased, the wind origin technique gradually became insufficient. He had to cultivate a stronger martial technique. Bubble. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubble. Bubble's voice came from the pagoda floating above his head. Then, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared and enveloped the demonic leopard within. The demonic leopard was instantly frozen. Puff. Lu Ming rushed over. His hand was like a dragon's claw. He grabbed the demonic leopard's head and pulled out a piece of demon crystal. True essence poured in and wiped out the spirituality on the demonic crystal. At this moment, Lu Ming looked behind him. The sound of air breaking rang out as 3 figures appeared in Lu Ming's line of sight. It's them. Lu Ming frowned slightly. The 3 people who appeared were the 3 from the Wan clan. We finally found this guy. A purple-clad youth smiled. After a few breaths, the 3 from the Wan clan appeared in front of Lu Ming. 2 of the purple-clad youths flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. What? You lost one last time, and now you want someone else to fight? Lu Ming frowned and said coldly, Kid, you defeated me last time because I was careless. The purple-robed young man who had been defeated by Lu Ming previously spoke with a gloomy expression and continued, Lad, I heard that you have a large number of demon crystals in your hands and even know a sealing method. Now, hand over all your demon crystals and follow us to hunt for demon crystals. In this way, we can spare your life. They're here for my demon crystals and sealing technique. But how do these people know that I have a large amount of demon crystals? Lu Ming's eyes were cold. These people didn't see him hunting a large number of demonic creatures. I think you're mistaken. I'm alone. How can I have a large amount of demon crystals? Since I entered here, I've only obtained a few pieces. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Moreover, I don't know any sealing technique. Lu Ming said, Kid, don't try to quibble. It was said by a kid who was with you before. How can it be wrong if your own people said it? A purple-clad youth sneered. Own people? Yun Kai. Lu Ming's heart moved. He guessed that it must be Yun Kai who said it. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a cold, murderous intent. Yun Kai had always been against him. It seemed like he would have to kill him if he had the chance. Previously, he had taken the teleportation formation of the Cloud Emperor Mountain to enter this place. Therefore, he would most likely have to pass through the Cloud Emperor Mountain to leave this place. Therefore, he had been merciful to Yun Kai. However, it seemed like it was useless to be merciful, as Yun Kai would only become more ruthless. Therefore, Lu Ming would have to eliminate him if he had the chance. Kid, now you have nothing to say. Hand it over and come with us. Help us seal the demonic creatures. A purple-clad youth snapped. All right, I'll hand it over, Lu Ming said. Saying this, a storage ring appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he threw it at the young man. The noble young man instinctively reached out to catch it. At this moment, Lu Ming made his move. He dashed toward the purple-clad youth with a cultivation of the 8th-layer martial dominator realm and threw a punch at his opponent. The young man did not expect Lu Ming to attack all of a sudden. He let out a roar and tried his best to resist the attack. However, he was only able to unleash half of his strength in such a short time. Thus, there was no way he could resist Lu Ming's attack. The purple-clad youth was shattered into pieces under Lu Ming's punch. How bold, die. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.